This is Julio's Corner, my corner of the internet, where I talk about whatever is on my mind. I'll mostly talk about stuff I've watched, read, or listened to, but sometimes I may ramble on about the news, or politics, or on society at large. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, October 19th, 2025. And welcome back to the show. Last week was a short episode, as you remember, for those who were listening. I forgot one last item on the itinerary about my week, so I figured why not bring it up here. As you guys know, I'm not a big social network user. The only ones I have that I use regularly are YouTube and Reddit. I did open up a Blue Sky account recently, and I missed the Twitter of old. And I thought this would be a good alternative. I tried Threads, but it was linked to Instagram, and that only lasted a day. I didn't like the experience. For me, it's just too time intensive for me. So I figured, why not try Blue Sky? And at first, it was novel. I was able to verify my account with my domain name. I couldn't get the blue check because that requires some extra verification process. So I signed up for it, but my account was new, so I'm guessing that's why it didn't get approved. For the few months that I've had it, I wasn't really active on Blue Sky. I would go on maybe once or twice a week, and with each passing week, it just got less and less. And in the past few weeks, I didn't go on at all. So other than to try to promote my podcast, but I don't really have a following. I had a bunch of bots following me, which, what does that do? That doesn't do anything. And I wasn't really using it the way I used to use Twitter for as a news feed to keep up to date with my interest. I use Reddit for that, and I use YouTube for that now, and I'm more satisfied with those options. So I believe, if not last week, the week before, I finally just deleted my Blue Sky account, and that's the end of my social network adventure from here on out. I'm not going to try anything new. I'm an old man. I'm almost 50. I'm 48, and social networks is a young man's game. I'm not an influencer. I don't want to be. I do this as an audio diary, essentially. It's just to put my thoughts out there. If it gains an audience, great. If not, whatever. This is therapeutic for me. I'm not really trying to blow up and become viral or anything like that. I just enjoy the whole process of recording on a mic and making something of it. So yeah, YouTube and Reddit will be my only social networks from here on out for as long as they exist. Because I like watching YouTube videos, and I like keeping up with NFL stuff and other subreddits on Reddit. Now, as you know, I'm a leftist, and even though I've been neglecting the news, I've been avoiding it as much as I can. Some stuff still slips through the cracks, but for the most part, I still try to be mindful of things. Like, for instance, the election is on the way. It's next month. I do mail-in voting because I work at night and I sleep during the day, and it's inconvenient for me to go to the polling booth, the polling place, either during the early days or the day of election. It's just not convenient for me to go there during my hours because I'm a vampire without the blood sucking. So mail-in voting is more convenient for me. So I got my ballot this week, and I just mailed it out today. So I got my votes in. I hope Mamdani wins. He should. He's the popular candidate. Eric Adams finally dropped out. Apparently, I'm guessing he accepted whatever offer Trump offered him. Como is desperate to get the Republican votes, but Curtis Sliwa, the actual Republican nominee, is in his way. He's trying to get Curtis Sliwa to drop out, but that's not happening. Curtis Sliwa doesn't bow down to Trump or to Como. They recently had a debate. I'll hold off on that. I'm going to get into that in the news section. But yeah, so my point is, don't forget to vote if you're registered. Vote blue, no matter who. But seriously, take it seriously. I mean, look at where we're in, the state of this country, and if your vote can help change it for the better, by all means, do so. There were also some proposals on my ballot regarding affordable housing and trying to give away, preserve, well, not give away, but allow some resorts to use public, natural, what do you call it? Preserved, land that's protected land. That's what it was. I obviously voted no against it because it's protected land for a reason. Trump's already giving away a lot of those lands to oil companies and frackers and companies that only care about what resources they can suck away from those protected lands that should be protected and cared for, as Theodore Roosevelt put in place because of all the horrible history of how this country was developed. But anyways, don't forget to vote. The last thing I found out this week that's a strong interest to me is that there's a study out there talking about how reading can help fend off dementia. And that is an issue that's near and dear to my heart because, I'm not afraid of dying. I don't think, at least just the idea of it doesn't scare me. I don't care about my mortality, unlike a lot of people who wish to live forever. That doesn't scare me. The idea of just fading to black and that's the end, rest in peace, that sounds peaceful to me. But what does scare me is dementia, like just losing yourself. I'm a bit of a control freak, if you can't already tell. I'm an introvert. I have my domicile, my fortress of solitude, if you will, where I have everything just so. So I like having control of my environment, and what's more, my environment than my actual mental capacity, my mental acuity, if you will. So to lose your scruples, your ability to remember anything, your identity, essentially, to lose sense of self, sense of time and relativity is frightening to me because I'm alone. Who would care for me? And even then, if someone's caring for me, I mean, that would be horrible for that person, for me to be like, who are you? Get away from me. And, it might be like a relative that I just don't remember anymore. That's the worst way to go. If I'm going to go, I want to go quick and painless. I don't want to go losing myself. That's terrifying. So that's it about my week. Let's get on with the news. Okay, so I was mentioning in the last few weeks about AI and how it's taking over society and whatnot. And another news story came up regarding the WWE and their implementation of AI for their creative writing. Now, as you know, I have gotten tired of wrestling. It just, the stories are just have been bad. The writing has been horrible. And well, who'd have thunk it? It's because they're using AI, which is garbage. It's not good writing. It's AI. So, all the more reason to no longer watch the WWE because it's just garbage. You're taking away jobs from, well, not the moment. Obviously, they're using it to help, quote unquote, to aid the writing staff of the WWE, the creative team, if you will. But if you've been following it, this year has been, for the most part, garbage writing, and it's not like it needs to be all that great. It's not a drama. It's not a movie. It's not supposed to be, uh, the overused term. It's not supposed to be cinema. Essentially, it's supposed to just be fun wrestling with some easy to follow plot points to whet your appetite for the matches, for the PLEs, the premium live events. But they've just been falling short in terms of being must see TV, if you will. Anyways, moving on. Zoran Mandani, Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Sliwa had the mayoral debate this past week. And I've seen clips of it. I didn't watch it. I actually didn't even know it was on because I haven't been, as you know, I haven't really been following the news. But I'm on YouTube. And of course, I still get notified from my algorithm of things that are happening. And they know from my previous likes of Zoran content that this might be a subject of interest. So clips of the debate have popped up on my feed. So I saw some, and of course Zoran Mamdani crushed it. Como, desperate for significant, to be considered significant and to be the one to vote for. He completely ignored Curtis Sliwa throughout the whole debate for the most part, and just kept attacking Zoran. And he was trying to paint him as anti-Semitic and as a terrorist sympathizer, and also someone with no experience, which is kind of laughable if you think about it, because Como's an old man now, but when he started his career, he's a nepo baby. He was trying to frame Zoran Mamdani as a nepo baby because his mother's a famous movie star, not a movie star, famous movie director. His father is a well-known scholar from what's the African country he came from? Crap, I don't remember what African country he's from. I think it's Zimbabwe. Let me look that up. Oh, I feel racist. He's from Uganda. Anyways, his father is a well-known professor of a scholar professor from Uganda. Mother is a famous movie director. So, and he has a rent control apartment apparently that Como is attacking him on, and he has no experience, even though he's been an assemblyman all this time, and he helped pass some good, promising legislation already as just an assemblyman. And the reason why I say it's kind of ironic for Como to do this is because Como, he always has been using his father's name to prop himself up. Hey, I am the son of famous governor of New York, Mario Cuomo, and I myself am a governor. But how did his career start when he was beginning? It was because his father was Mario Cuomo. So Mario Cuomo got his first job I think he was a HUD director. And then from that point forward, he just kept moving up the political career ladder. But it started because he was using the Como name. So now so it's very rich of him to try to call Mamdani a nepo baby when he is the perfect epitome of a nepo baby. His father was in politics, and because his father was in politics, his father got him into the political door, whereas Zoran's parents are not in the political network, so to speak. His father is in education, his mother is in entertainment, and he is a politician, complete opposite of Como. And unlike I can't remember his first name. Unlike the current Como, who uses his father's name all the time. Okay, now it's going to bother me that I don't remember his name. I'm just calling him Como now. Chris Como's his father. No, Chris Como's his younger brother. Andrew Como. Wow, I am awful at this. Well, as you already know, I'm bad with names. So Andrew Como is using he used his father's fame his whole life to prop him up in his career, and even to this day he still uses his father's name. Like my father Mario Cuomo was this great governor, and I am a great governor, which he wasn't. He was horrible. He killed old people during COVID and so on. Meanwhile, Zoran Mamdani, who, yes, he has famous parents, he never uses them for his campaign. He doesn't mention them at all. Everyone else brings them up. Well, the reason why he, is what he is because his father was educated, and his mother, has these entertainment connections, and that's why he was able to start his rap career. Which also, again, Zoran never brings any of these things up. Which, when you find out about it, it just adds an extra coolness factor to him. It's like, oh, okay, he's kind of hip. He knows rap music. Mother's is in Hollywood. Father's is a college professor. Like, those are good traits. Like, he has a rap song praising grandmothers. I mean, there's nothing to dislike about him. But anyways, so he tries to use that against him, and he tries to say, see, I have experience, and so this is not a job for someone who doesn't have any experience. And the thing about experience is you got to start someplace, right? And he started because of his father. But anyways, Zoran brings up, okay, if you want to vote someone who has the experience of killing the elderly during COVID, because he would push them into nursing homes, killing a bunch of elderlies, because he sent COVID patients into nursing homes, which would infect the elderly and kill them off. If you want that kind of experience, then vote for Cuomo. If you want someone with integrity, vote for me. Because I can gain experience over time, but he can never gain integrity with his experience. So he said something to that effect. I'm butchering what he said, but he basically destroyed his argument. And then the other argument he tried to use against him was, which is very pathetic, was, as I mentioned, he keeps trying to label him anti-Semitic and as a terrorist sympathizer. And one of the talking points that he kept bringing up during the debate was Hassan Piker, of all people, a Twitch streamer, a leftist, progressive Twitch streamer who's on Twitch TV, right? That's such an obscure point of fact to use in this New York debate, because people the audience, the demographic of people who are watching this, who would be watching this debate on television, don't know what Twitch is. Like, the vast majority of them won't know. I myself know because, well, though I am 48, I am kind of technologically savvy I'm technologically consumer savvy, I would say. I do know of Twitch TV. I am a fan of Hassan Piker, so I definitely know who he is. And of course, other leftist people on YouTube, people on YouTube would know who Hassan Piker is, because again, that's the world that they live in. They live in the world of the internet. But people who watch network television, who only know of network television, who don't watch the YouTube or who don't know of the Twitch TV or the Facebook or the Twitter, now called the X, like that demographic, they're not going to know. They're going to be scratching their head. Who's this Hassan Piker they keep bringing up? Is that a Muslim leader from the Mideast? Like, who are you talking about? So he kept bringing up Hassan Piker to label Zoran a terrorist sympathizer, and of course Zoran was able to sidestep that very easily. And again, his argument was just kept falling flat, and only those that would know who Hassan Piker is would understand what the connotation he's making. And most people who would know what that connotation is making would be left-minded people like myself, who would know that you're just saying a bad faith argument that holds no water. Because when Hassan Piker said that America deserved 9/11, if you just take it at just that statement alone, it could be incendiary, right? But if you go into the context of what he meant by that statement, because he doesn't just say that one sentence and then moves on to something else. No, he pontificates about the meaning of that statement. He was talking about the history of the CIA training, cell ops in the Mideast to combat, Russia back in the day, or other so-called enemies of state in the Mideast. And of course, one of those people that were trained by the CIA was Osama bin Laden, and the people that worked for Osama bin Laden in the Taliban. So these, which were now terrorist groups during 9/11, at one point in time they were allies of the U.S. Intelligence agencies, and because they would help with black ops in the Mideast, against Russia and things like that, prior to 9/11. And then 9/11 happened because obviously they've diverged their paths, and now we were the enemy of the Taliban and Osama bin Laden and the people of his ilk. And then 9/11 happened. So there's so just keeping that statement in a vacuum, it can easily be misled. But once you get the proper context of it, you realize Hassan Piker is not a terrorist sympathizer. He was merely trying to break down the history of what happened. Similar with October 7th, which the state of Israel likes to use against Hamas and Palestine and Palestine to try to justify their genocide of the Palestinian people. October 7th, like 9/11, is the result of years and decades of oppression by imperial forces trying to impose their imperial will on a group of people and subjugate them. And this growing resentment festered and boiled and came to a head, which brought about events such as 9/11 and events such as October 7th. And so those events, albeit tragic as they were, are one event that doesn't fully show. I mean, it was the root cause of those singular events are many other atrocities that don't ever get looked over. To explain why that happened, there's a cause and effect for things, right? So what happened, the 9/11 was an effect of a bunch of atrocities and imperial abuse of power or of manipulation of political things that were happening in the Mideast to begin with. And the same thing for October 7th, because years and years and years of having Israeli settlers taking land from the Palestinians bit by bit, breaking up Palestinians into different drop spots, making it into an open cell prison, an open land prison of these subjugated people that that are their own sovereign nation, but apparently not in the eyes of Israelis, who just keep taking their land bit by bit and justifying it with, hey, it's Hamas. So October 7th happened. And that was what they keep using as a shield for the genocide that's still happening to this day. So anyways, it was a bad faith argument. And like I said, Zoran completely was able to easily sidestep it, saying he doesn't condone those statements and some other things. And then he would bring up, what about the criminal allegations that are under your record? Which then, of course, Como tried to lie about. But even the moderators would fact check Como on the spot. So Como wasn't getting any leeway, and it just looked bad. And then, of course, like I mentioned, it's not just Zoran and Como debating. It's also the rightful Republican representative, Curtis Sliwa, there, who's like, hey, what am I, chicken liver? I'm not getting any questions my way. I'm not getting any airtime when I'm the rightful debatee, not Como. Como doesn't even have a party. He's an independent party member. And generally, these debates are supposed to just be Republican and Democrats. There's not supposed to be any independents. But because of the Como name, once again, he got an exception to be in this debate. So Como was only attacking Zoran, but he was getting hit by both sides. So it wasn't a good look on Como. So anyways, that's all the news I have for today. News items that I care to talk about. And now for what I really want to talk about. There's this show on PBS. For those who know what PBS is, public broadcast. I forget what the S stands for. But anyway, it's a public network. Public broadcast station. I think that's what S stands for. Anyways, they have a show called Mystery. It's an anthology show, I guess, which would showcase British shows that are mystery themed. And this mystery themed show is called Miss Scarlett. It was originally called Miss Scarlett and the Duke for the first 4 seasons, until the actor Stuart Martin, who plays William Wellington, aka the Duke, decided to leave the show. And so now it's called season 5. It got renamed Miss Scarlett. Now, Stuart Martin decided to leave the show. It wasn't because they wrote him out, or it was his decision to leave the show. Now, I remember reading originally when it was just season 4. Season 5 had not come out yet, and I was still in the middle of season 4. That he felt like he as British actors are wont to do, a lot of the time they like to they don't like to stay in one role for too long, and so he felt he could do all he can. He did all he can do with this character, and he didn't really feel like there was going to be that much more that he can bring into it, and he wanted to do something else. So he decided to leave the show. But now, and I was trying to find that article for this episode so I can cite it, but I couldn't find that old article anymore. What I am finding now are new quotes saying that he felt that he left the show in service of the story to help Miss Scarlett explore new stories and challenges. Which, I mean, it does look nice on paper, but I don't think he was that selfless, sacrificing himself for a show that, a long-lasting show, for the betterment of it. No, he wasn't making that noble of sacrifice. He decided he wanted to move on, as a lot of British actors do. That's just a thing they do a lot of the time. The actress, of course, is continuing on as Miss Scarlett. So anyways, with him leaving the show, I feel like, in actuality, it kind of the writing team lost a sense of direction, because he was sort of an anchor to the show. You have so for some, to give you a foundation, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Miss Scarlett is a detective show set in Victorian England, which is, of course, a time when women don't really have any autonomy. Women's only way in life is to marry and bear children. And the men are the breadwinners. Women don't even have the right to vote. There is a suffragist movement happening during Victorian England. So you do have a group of women that are trying to get the right to vote, to get a level of autonomy, but it doesn't exist at the time. So Miss Scarlett was raised by her father, single father, because her mother apparently, I believe her mother died early in life. Her father was a cop, but eventually became a detective. I think probably so he can control his own hours, so he can better take care of his daughter. I don't think it wasn't really made clear why he became a private detective. But anyway, obviously, Miss Scarlett being daddy's girl, she looked up to him and was enthralled and what's the word I'm looking for? I'll go with enthralled. She was enthralled with the science of deduction and forensics and, solving a case, like figuring out a puzzle. So it looked like it was like a puzzle to her. And she loved that. Not understanding that detective work is not work for a lady. It's men's work. And her only work is to learn ethics, learn how to be a lady, and find a mate to take care of her. Because that is the way of life for women in this time period of England. But of course, she grows up and is stubborn and headstrong, and doesn't learn that lesson. She the first episode starts with her father getting killed, and she's trying to solve the case as to who murdered her father and why. And in doing so, that just finalized in her mind that she's going to be the first lady detective, even though it doesn't exist. There's no laws allowing it, but she feels that that is her destiny, and I think she somehow does get a detective license. Apparently, there's no discrimination for her registering and applying and acquiring a private investigation license, but so she did get it. But all of the first, I don't know, first 2 to 3 seasons is her basically struggling to get work because no one's hiring her, and they don't take her seriously. They don't think women are smart enough. As they're not smart enough as men. They're all about emotion and bearing children, like so. But she clearly does not have any maternal instincts, nor is she good at housework. She can't clean well. She can't cook. None of those things interested her, so she never learned it. She only cares about the art of the science of deduction. So, anyways, William Wellington was a good anchor to that, in that even though he understands her and agrees with her point of view about the unfairness of the world being prejudiced against her because she's a woman, instead of recognizing her talents. He also, and of course there's a bit of a love interest. There's that aspect of their relationship. He also, on top of, despite all that, he does keep her grounded, because being that she has to fight tooth and nail to get her way, sometimes she cuts corners and doesn't necessarily do things by the law. She doesn't necessarily do things black and white. She does muddle in the gray. And him being an actual cop, a detective inspector of Scotland Yard, he has to, kind of get her grounded, keep her grounded sometimes. Anyways, towards the 3rd season, you have her butting heads with another private detective by the name of Patrick Nash. And at first, Patrick Nash is just intrigued by this lady detective, because he's running a successful agency, and then somehow they keep. Well, they don't keep, but a few times they would cross paths, trying to solve certain cases or whatever, and he recognizes her talents. He does see it, like, oh wow, she's actually smarter than most of the detectives under my agency, and in fact, she's even a little better than I. Even though she may not know how to break the rules the way I do. He's definitely a more the ambiguous character, but he's fun. He's a funny guy. And so he respects her talents so much that he keeps trying to hire her. But of course, she's like, no, I don't want to work for you. I want to be my own boss. Anyways, eventually it gets to the point where he really respects her abilities, and he decides to give her his branch, Nash and Sons, because he's opening up a new one in France. So he has to go over there and get that office, that agency up and running. And this branch is already successful, and he can leave it in her very able hands, because she's smart. So that's how season 3 ends. So we're on a good progression course, right? She has a career going. There's still this tension between her and the Duke, William Wellington, and yeah, like she is on the right path. Well, season four begins with her basically destroying that whole agency because the men don't respect her, and she's also very overly critical, and she doesn't have good people skills. She's only good at being a detective. So basically, everyone left left the agency and went to other detective agencies, and and now Nash and Sons is a failing agency because there's only her and they're not getting any clientele and they're just not getting any work. So of course Patrick Nash comes back to try to steer the ship right, and then William Wellington, he starts really assessing his life in England, his current position, being because at the time crime is on the rise, I guess, and they're just his um precinct or office or station, whatever you want to call it, is just getting more and more overworked, and they're just not properly staffed at this point because they just keep steering all the bulk of the load of crime reports over to over his agency. So he's just getting overworked, and and of course there's this whole tension between him and Miss Scarlett. Are they ever going to get together? Are they not going to get together? Are they just going to be friends? What's the deal? So anyway, he realizes he loves her, and but he sees that Miss Scarlett is very single-minded, and right now there's really no room for love for her. She is, or relationship, because she's never going to be fully invested in the relationship because she's going to be she's fully invested in trying to keep her career going as a private investigator, as a detective. So because the actor wants to leave the show, this is what the writing goes with. He finally decides to take a post in New York, in the colonies. Because this is during the time where the U.S. is just the 13 colonies. So William Wellington leaves the UK for the New World, and leaving Miss Scarlett by herself. And of course, on top of that, Patrick Nash commits a crime. I won't try to spoil the show too much, but he becomes a criminal. He gets arrested in the end, and his license is revoked. So I guess because the company name is under his name, Nash and Sons. So I guess the license is under his name. That's the end of Nash and Sons. So once again, Miss Scarlett is back to square one, back to season one, where she has her own little office, and she's going to be, in squalor, struggling for scraps to maintain her lease and just barely living. That's how season four ends. Come season five, it's now just Miss Scarlett. The Duke is not coming back ever again. She's on her own. William Wellington at least would give her work on occasion, so that would help keep her business afloat. But now you have a new detective inspector, Alexander Blake, who does not like hiring private detectives at all. So Miss Scarlett is finding it harder and harder to maintain because again, she's not. No one really respects a female detective. It sounds like a work of fiction in this world of Victorian England, and where she got the bulk of her business, which was police referrals, it's not going to happen anymore because the new detective inspector, Alexander Blake, does not care for private investigators because he has a bad history with them trying to overcharge him or trick him and not give him actual results. So season five kind of goes in and out. They keep bumping into each other due to similar their cases overlapping, and eventually he grows to respect her, and they develop. He's gonna be the new love interest come season six, especially because They become friendlier. She starts finding out that he's a single father with his own daughter, and which reminds her of her childhood. And so, and Inspector Alexander Blake finds that out about her, so he can use her as a little bit of solace in his struggles to raising a daughter alone, and getting tips from her, from her past, how she was raised and so on. And yeah, that is how the season ends. Essentially, they have a bit of a friendship, at least. They're definitely interested in each other, but it's probably very early on. They're not going to admit completely about their feelings of attraction to each other, but they are drawn to each other. So the only thing that really that I liked about season 5 was okay. I won't say I didn't like season 5. However, it feels like they haven't really developed, new direction or new stories or new challenges for her, really. I mean, there's a new character that she was originally bumping heads with. And of course, you have Patrick Nash, now criminal Patrick Nash, in jail. And then he eventually gets a shortened. His sentence gets commuted because this nobleman who commuted his sentence needs him for a favor, which she takes advantage of, and eventually and decides to leave for Australia to start a new life and get a new become a detective there, because like whatever criminal record he has in England apparently won't apply in Australia, so he can start his life over again over there. So outside of so you have that going, but yeah, so like there haven't been really any new stories and challenges for Miss Scarlett, really. I mean obviously there's been new episodes, new mysteries to solve, but I don't see a clear direction for her. Like it's just back to the way she was in season 1. She has no real footing in the detective world. No one takes her seriously except for a small few characters that seen her at work and recognize her abilities because they were there at the face front. But that's not going to help pay the bills. So that's not changing. And then you have all the key characters that played prominently in her life for the bulk of the show. They're all gone now. You have William Wellington left for America in season 4. Patrick Nash, who appeared in I think it was season 2 he first appeared, and then you have him in season 3 and 4, and now he's gone because he leaves in season 5 because of the whole he's a criminal now, and now he went to Australia, so he's now gone. There was this one person of color who was in the show. Where I had his name in my notes, I thought. Moses Valentine. That was his name. He was a minor character and the only person of color that got regular screen time, I should say. That was there for the first 3 seasons. He went to France to work with Patrick Nash over there. But again, Patrick Nash came back in season 4. Moses was nowhere to be seen, and he wasn't there season 5 either. Now, there's news that he might show up for the new season 6. But and I'm guessing because Patrick Nash's detective agencies were shut down because of his criminal record, even though that agency is in France. So I don't see why he didn't go to France. He could have just went back to France to his agent, whatever. Point is, I guess I don't know the history that well of relationships between the UK and France during Victorian England days. I don't. So I won't pretend that I do, because I don't know anything about the political dynamics of that time period. So apparently he's going to come back again. He's going to reappear season 6. So we'll see what they do with him. But yeah, so you have all the major characters that played pivotal plot devices and were part of the plot development and character development of Miss Scarlett now gone. So it's just. So yeah, I don't see a clear direction, and I think it's because William Wellington left. Because again, the show was originally called Miss Scarlett and the Duke. So I'm thinking the creator, I think her name is Rochelle Day, she had a clear direction of where she was going, because she didn't take into account that, hey, maybe the guy's going to leave. I mean, his name is on the title. Well, not his name exactly, but the nickname for his character, the Duke, and now he's gone, so they had to rename it. And then you have the other guy, Patrick Nash, disappear, and he was another critical character in her life. So you have that big question mark going on that makes me a little unsatisfied with the show a bit. One good thing is that other characters got more screen time and got to develop more. You have her maid or her housemaid, Ivy. Her life is got better. You know, she got a love interest in season, I think it was season 3, maybe season 4. But they finally got married in season 5. So you have that. She got married, and on top of that, she too was realizing, you know, all my life I've just been a housemaid, and here I see you, you know, trying to go against the mold and be a private detective, and though you're not financially successful, the fact that you're still fighting for it and you're still making way is, you know, inspiring. And also, Miss Scarlett taught her, you know, she was illiterate because she did not know how to read or write. Miss Scarlett taught her how to read and write. And with that new skill set, she's now a secretary in Scotland Yard. She's actually the personal secretary of Detective Inspector Alexander Blake. So her character has definitely developed and evolved in the course of the 5 seasons. And of course, Mr. Potts is more amenable to Miss Scarlett. He's not a complete two-dimensional character anymore. You know, there is some. I mean, he was always a funny character who had these weird, strict rules that people had to abide by. But his relationship with Ivy has softened him a bit and made him a little more flexible and not so rigid in his outlook on life. So outside of the development of those guys, and then you have, of course, Oliver Fitzroy. His character was developing rather well. I mean, not as much as Ivy, but to a certain extent, like his relationship with characters in Scotland Yard, his ability as a detective, his self-confidence growing. But that's all moot because the actor who plays him, he's leaving the show because he got cast in the Royal Shakespeare Company's Hamlet, which I guess is an ongoing, upcoming job. And again, British actors, they love to work in the theater, and they like to explore new avenues. That is just that is a hallmark of a British actor. They like to move around and constantly take on different roles and different challenges and whatnot. So now he's going to be doing live theater as in the Royal Shakespeare Company, specifically Hamlet. So we'll see what season 6 brings, but I'm losing confidence in it, just because I know how the show started. I loved the first 3 seasons, especially. I really, really loved the way it developed. It seemed very much tighter in terms of the character dynamics and the direction that it was going. And then season 4 was a little looser in terms of like there were some long-ranging arcs through seasons 1. There was a through line between seasons 1 and 3 that you clearly saw. Season 4 was sort of disrupted because of the whole William Wellington deciding to leave the show. Well, the actor playing William Wellington deciding to leave the show. So that was kind of a hard break, so to speak, in terms of developing the plot of that show. And they had to work around it, and they came up with the conclusion that they did. And then season 5 was essentially it was essentially a reset of the whole series because of how season 4 ended, breaking the Duke off of the title, off the marquee, if you will. Now they have to come up with a new direction. And season 5 was very much almost like a reboot of season 1, if you want to think of it in that way, because she has to come up with she just has to, she's starting from scratch. It's essentially almost a clean slate. Except, okay, so there was one other interesting in the very last episode. They introduced the Royal British Intelligence. So I guess MI6 is a descendant of the Royal British Intelligence of that time period, because obviously the government now it's not a monarchy anymore. It's a parliament. So MI6, the royal family is more of a figurehead nowadays, and the parliament runs the country. In Victorian England days, I think it's Queen Victoria, right? That's why it's called Victorian England. So Queen Victoria is the monarch, and the British intelligence works for her. So you have British intelligence involved in episode 6's story, which was which was very interesting, or was it episode 5? In one of the last 2 episodes, they brought in that. No, it was the last episode. Yeah, because that's when he leaves. It was all intertwined. Patrick Nash's story with British intelligence, and so on. So, wait. No, it wasn't. You know what? Give me a moment. Okay, short of actually watching the show again, I'm not going to be able to tell you if it was the last episode, because the last episode, because I believe episode 4 was the last episode for Patrick Nash, because that's the episode where he has to he gets that early release from prison, and it's because he has to find this person, and in finding that person he has to leave the country. Whereas episode 6, it involves Fitzroy's father involved with Russian spies, and that's why British intelligence gets involved. So I don't believe Patrick Nash is in that episode. So I'm going to go with that. He wasn't involved. It had nothing to do with Patrick Nash. It had to do with. So yeah, it's the 2 storylines that merge in the last episode is whatchamacallit, who attack Oliver Fitzroy, along with Miss Scarlett tracking down Fitzroy's father, because Fitzroy's mother hires her to confirm whether or not Fitzroy's father is having an affair. So where am I going with that? So yeah, now playing such a crucial story. A crucial part of the storyline of the very last episode of season 5, his character will now disappear from the show altogether because of he's doing Hamlet now. So the writer has to once again. I mean he's a minor role anyway, so it's not going to be as difficult as replacing the Duke. But yeah, the writer once again has to change course for season 6. So we'll see how season 6 comes around. I believe it premieres in January, so a few months from now, and we'll see what will come of that. So that's all I have for this episode. Much longer than anticipated, but yeah, that wraps up the show. If you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or any thoughts you'd like to share, you can reach me by clicking on the Contact Me link in the show notes. If you're feeling extra generous, you can click on the donate link in the show notes and send some dollars my way. This show is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. This means you can share this episode, remix it, do whatever you want. Just say where you got it from. And as always, thank you for listening.